Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I'm telling you, on Tuesdays when I go live, it feels like it has been forever since we've seen each other. And the truth is, it's only been 3 days. But those 3 days, it feels like such a long time. So I've missed you. I hope that you had an amazing weekend. And I hope that your Monday was kind to you as well. But now here we are. It's Tuesday, right? We've already made it through the worst part of the week. The worst part of the week is that Monday. We've made it over the Monday hump. And now we can kind of relax into the rest of the week. I love that. I love that. That's kind of why I like us getting together on Tuesdays instead of Mondays. Mondays, I work all day trying to get kits together and projects together. And, so I'm usually head down all day on Mondays, but I get to look forward to my Tuesdays because I get to be with you guys. And it means that I survived Monday, right? How do you feel about it? Oh my gosh. So hello to everybody. Hello, Colleen. I love you, my friend. Hi, Diane, Donna, Stacia, Kelly, Regina, Brenda. If I didn't say your name, doesn't mean I don't love you and didn't see you. So good to see everybody. So Nicole's in the house. Gia's in the house, and so's Kathy. Hi, Kathy. I was thinking about you while I was putting my face on this morning. I was going to ask you a question. Not work-related question. I got to ask you a McKay's question. I got a big box I need to take. So Susan says, hi from the UK. Hello from the UK. Or hello from the States to the UK. I wish I was in the UK. That'd be pretty cool way to spend my Tuesday, right? Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's see. I feel like there's something important I need to tell you guys. I don't think there's anything necessarily important that I need to tell you guys, but I want to address something real quick that happens. It comes up kind of frequently. And so I thought maybe this would be a good way to just like kind of address it. And then, I can always point people back to this. So I have every once in a while, somebody will send me a message after a Friday live, right? A lot of people know, remember, Friday Live happens at 1 p.m. Eastern time. It streams live to Facebook and it streams live to YouTube. However, it then lives on for a very long time, if not forever, on YouTube and on Facebook, where you can watch the replay that doesn't happen in real time. So the question that I get asked frequently is, why haven't you posted? Where are these projects? Why are they not in your Etsy shop? I'm trying to go to your Etsy shop and buy the bracelet and I don't see the bracelet. Did you post any of these projects? Did you actually put these in your Etsy shop? The answer is I did. Guys, I post all of our kits, our Friday kits. They go into the Etsy shop. They actually go into the Etsy shop the night before, but I don't make them live until about 5 minutes before our live on Fridays. Guys, you got to be fast. Not on everything, right? Not on everything, but a lot of times, depending on what the kit is and how popular it is, it'll sell out before the live is even over or shortly thereafter. So if you're watching the live on replay on Monday and you're trying to find a bracelet kit and you don't see it, it's because it's sold out. So it's not that I'm not putting things in the Etsy shop. I absolutely am. They go into the Etsy shop before I even start the live. But a lot of times things will sell out during the live or for the majority of Friday afternoon, and on Saturday, whatever is remaining will sell out. That doesn't always happen. Because there are a lot of kits that are still in the shop that haven't sold out, that have been there for a long, long time, because I had a lot of them. I guess I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Like, on one hand, I'm sorry that you're not able to get the kit that you want, but on the other hand, what a great problem to have. Right? I mean, that's a good thing for me that the kits are selling out, but maybe not necessarily a good thing for you if they're sold out before you get there. Kristen wants the name of the Etsy shop. So the Etsy shop, I think I have a little banner I can put up. Hold on. Etsy.com/shop/13crows. You could go directly to it. Just make sure, I'll leave that up for just a second. So make sure that when you're going to the Etsy shop that you're paying attention to the headers, because everything is sorted into certain groups, right? So not only are there kits, there are maker mixes, and there's finished jewelry. And I think that that's probably one of the things that people, another thing that people get kind of tripped up on is that there are finished pieces in the shop. There are bracelets and earrings and necklaces and things like that that are in the shop that are finished pieces that are like pieces that I made to sell. They're not kits. So if you're looking for a kit, make sure you're looking underneath the header that says kits. If you're looking for bead mixes, it's under the one that says maker mixes. If you're looking for beads and other jewelry stuff, it's under beads or it's under jewelry making supplies. Okay. Just want to put that out there because I have more than once had somebody buy like a bracelet and then realize that's a finished piece. It's not a kit. Make sure it says kit. Okay. Okay. So got all that out of the way. Let's see. Alma says she wanted the stacked bracelets, but it was too late. You know what, though? Let me show you something. This will probably make you happy. Look at what I got. I can probably re-list those stacked stretch bracelets because, I mean, I'm not hurting for beads. I also have another order that just came in. It's sitting here on the table next to me. I don't know that they'll be exactly the same, but the cubes will be. So a lot of times if I have extras like that, I try to get those kits together and relist them as quick as I can. Just be patient with me. So I'll do my best. Okay. All right. Let's see. One other thing I wanted to mention to you guys, I went through all of my kits because I have this big box that has all of my kits in it, right? And I came across a couple of things that sold out a long time ago, but I had like 1s and 2s of them. I relisted those. Now, I'm not going to tell you well, okay, I will. I'll tell you one thing that is in there, but there are a couple of kits that sold out previously that have been relisted. There's only a couple of them. There might only be one. So you might want to check out the shop. But I will tell you guys remember the labradorite rose? They were roses. They were hand-carved labradorite roses, and they had the crowns on them. I found a single pair of those, a kit, and I put it in the shop. Nobody's noticed it yet. It's only one. It'll be gone, I guarantee you, by the end of this live, because somebody that wanted it the first time around is going to go get it right now. And I'm not mad about it. But I love it when stuff like that happens. So just want you guys to know, if somebody wanted those labradorite earrings from, it wasn't labradorite. What was it? They were not labradorite. They were, what's the other blue stone? What's the other blue one? Lapis. They were lapis. So sorry, not labradorite. They're lapis. They're blue. They're beautiful. Okay. Anyway, let's talk about today's project. So today's project is a fun one because we get to hammer. I love to hammer. I'm all about it. We're going to be using some really thick gauge wire to hammer. We're going to create an easy component. We're going to put together a really easy necklace. And then we're going to put together some easy earrings to go with it. Why? Well, number one, because I love to hammer, and I know you do too. But number two, because the next few little lives that I'm going to do the next probably 2 or 3 weeks are going to be geared towards last minute gifts. If you've got to give a last minute gift and there is somebody still on your list and you need an idea real quick and easy and fun, I've got you covered the next couple of lives. So I'm hoping to give you lots of inspiration. Okay. All right. So we are gonna get right down to it. Okay. And Cindy says I'm at work with her. I'm more than happy to be at work with you. Just don't get in trouble. Don't get in trouble. Okay. I'm going to turn you around and we're going to get started. Okay. Because I feel like I've done a lot of chatting, but it was important information. It was important stuff. You needed to know, right? Okay. So here we go. I've got the sample, the beginnings of the necklace here. This was from the one that I made that I took pictures of. So it's missing the things that are hanging from it. We're going to put that together. If you saw the preview, the picture of the preview, this is where we're going, but I did add some extra dangles to it. And then I created some earrings, some easy earrings to go with this. We're going to do this from start to finish. Okay. So let me tell you, the component here is made from some really heavy duty artistic wire. Now, I normally use German style wire for just about everything, but German style wire does not come in these thicker gauges. So if you're looking for really thick, heavy gauged wire, you're going to have to go with the artistic wire, which is totally fine. Okay. I'm using 12 gauge artistic wire. Guys, this is some serious, serious wire. Let me see. Let me grab the roll so you can see what it looks like. It's incredibly heavy. It's very, very thick. And it's not even the thickest gauge of wire that you can get in artistic wire, but it is like some seriously sturdy stuff. The reason I'm using this is because I need as much surface area as possible to flatten this. You'll notice this is a round wire, but the component that we're making is actually flat, right? It's because we're going to hammer it. We're going to hammer it flat with a chasing hammer, and then we're going to add some texture to it as well. I recommend, if you don't have 12 gauge wire, probably the thinnest gauge wire that I would try this with would be like 14. You might be able to do this with a 16 gauge wire, but you got to remember that that gauge is going to go down when you start to flatten it out, right? Because it's going to make that gauge thinner. And you want to already have plenty of substance to work with. If you're going to make it really thin, it'll make it brittle as well. So just keep that in mind. If you're thinking, oh, I can do this with 18 gauge wire. Yeah, probably, but I don't trust that it's going to be sturdy. It's going to be pretty brittle. So you probably want to start with at least 14 gauge wire and go heavier. Okay. So I've got 12 gauge. I've cut, I believe this is a 5-inch piece of this. I'm going to double check just to be sure. If it's not, it's a 4-inch piece. Yeah. So I've got 5 inches of 12 gauge wire. Okay. And I just want to talk about what I cut this with, because I get asked this question a lot too, and it's definitely worth talking about. So I use my heavy duty cutters for this. I try to stay away from using my good blue handled cutters. You guys know this is the designer flush cutter from Beetleon. I try not to use this one to cut super thick gauge wire. Instead, I use the yellow handled one. This one is made specifically to cut thick gauge wire and stainless steel. So you can cut not only the thick gauge wire with this, but you can also cut memory wire with this. But you probably don't want to do anything thicker than maybe a 10 gauge wire with this. So even this has its limits, but this is what I cut my thick, heavy gauge wire with. The problem is that when you cut that thick gauge wire with this guy, it's not a flush cut at the end. So it is going to give you a jaggedy end, right? And that's when I'll come in with my flush cutter and I'm just like barely trimming, right? Just barely kind of snipping off a little bit at a time to make it flush instead of cutting straight through this wire with my good cutter. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Robbie says, can I use memory wire cutters? You know, I'm not entirely sure that your memory wire cutters will cut through this, but you're welcome to try. I mean, they're made to cut stainless steel and tempered steel. So possibly, but I've never tried it. Okay. So you've got 5 inches of this. If you want a smaller pendant, obviously you're going to want to cut a shorter piece of wire or larger, vice versa. You know the drill. Okay. I'm going to use my, let's see, I'm going to use my small bell making pliers. Can I use the small ones? Yeah. I'm going to use my small bell making pliers. You can use your stepped bell making pliers, or you can use your large bell making pliers and just use the smallest mandrel on them. And I'm going to turn a loop on either end of this. Now, remember, this is stiff wire. So you gotta be really, you gotta use a lot of strength here. Okay. So I'm grabbing that wire at the tip between the tool and I'm going to roll a loop. And again, it takes a lot of strength to do that. I mean, it's not impossible, but I mean, it is thick gauge wire. I'm just being completely honest with you about it. I'm going to do the same thing down here on the other end. So I'm grabbing the wire between the tool and, oh, yeah, that's pretty strong. Okay. So there we go. All right. So Rosanna says, yes, your memory wire cutters will cut your 12 gauge wire and the cut will be flush. The cut will be flush, but it's not super clean. We actually talked about that last week on the hardwired group where we did some cutting with different cutters to see what happens. You'll get she definitely says, yes, it will cut through. The cut as far as flush is considered or is concerned, you're going to need to clean that up because it doesn't make a nice clean cut. It'll have little I'll have little scraps. You're going to have to file those off. Okay, let's see. Where's my artistic wire mandrel tool? So I'm using my artistic wire mandrel tool. Guys, if you're looking for an inexpensive gift for a jewelry maker, or if you're just looking for something to put in your own stocking, I highly, highly recommend this tool because I use it for almost everything. And it is seriously inexpensive. I'm just saying, I use it for all kinds of things. It's just a plastic handle. The top of it comes off. You've got the circle, the oval, the triangle, and the square to make, you know, wire shapes with. I use this all the time. I'm just saying it's inexpensive and it's totally worth it. Okay, so I'm going to lay my wire up on the surface of that and I'm going to hold it down with my thumb. I'm not really concerned with the size so much as I am just getting the shape that I want. So I'm going to kind of start not on the bottom one, but the next one up. Hold that down onto the tool with your thumb. And then I'm just going to bend the wire around to create that kind of teardrop shape, right? Now, my loops are turned to the inside. I want to turn those back out to the outside. So I'm going to grab the wire and with some pliers, I'm just going to give it a twist to twist that loop to the outside. Okay. Albert, stop it. All right, so, but now I have more of a U shape than I want. So I can put it back on the tool and maybe go to a smaller round on here and just kind of squeeze together. You can use your fingers. It's totally up to you. And you can make this whatever shape you want to, but that's kind of what I'm going for. Okay. It kind of looks like a vase, I guess. Right now, keep in mind, it's round. It's round. And the sample that I showed you is flat. So now we got to flatten this, right? To do that, we're going to put this on a steel block. And we're going to use a chasing hammer. So the chasing hammer is the one that has the flat end on one side, and then it has the ball end on the other side. This is going to help to, you can see mine's pretty worn out. Mine's from Beetalon. It's seen better days. But it's got the flat side and the ball side. So making flat and then creating texture. Okay. All right. So I'm going to lay this on the block and we're going to flatten it. Now it's going to get kind of loud. Okay. And you got to do quite a bit of hammering here. You'll see how it it flattens the wire just on one surface, and you can see it makes it much thinner, right? We started here. This hasn't been hammered yet. You can see that 12 gauge, and then it thins out. And when it thins out, it's closer to probably a 14 gauge, right? We're going to keep hammering it. And something else you're going to notice is you see the marks, the hammer marks. I'm not concerned with the hammer marks because I am going to add texture to this, and the hammer marks will disappear into the texture. Okay. So I'm not super concerned with that. And I'm going to hammer the whole entire thing, meaning I'm going to do the loops as well. Yes, Robin. Yes. All right. Now here's the thing. The more you hammer it, the flatter it's going to become. That also means the thinner it's going to become. So just be mindful of all of that. If you're like, you know, if you're taking out your aggression, just be careful. Don't hammer too much. Okay. All right. So not only have we hammered it flat, but we've also really work hardened it. And it was already pretty thick, heavy wire to start with. And it has flattened both sides. So it has a curve along the edge, but it's got a flat surface on both the front and the back, whichever one you want to be the front or the back. It really doesn't make much of a difference. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to add the texture to this. Hi, Sue. I'm going to add the texture to this by using the ball end of the hammer. And it's just going to make like little dimples all over the surface that we made flat. And of course, you can get different hammers with different heads on them to get different kinds of texture. Okay, now we're just going to take a look at it and see if I like the amount of texture that's added here. And I do. I do. It only textured one side, though. Don't think that it's going to texture the back, because it doesn't. Right? So now I do want to reshape it a little bit, because all that hammering kind of opened up my shape a little bit. And you can see how my loops have opened up. So I just want to close my loops. And if you need to kind of clean those up a little bit too, since you've got an opening here, again, you can come in, now that you kind of flattened it down a little bit, you can come in with your flush cutter. If you need to kind of clean up the edges, you can, or trim it a little bit shorter. But I'm just going to make sure that they're nice and closed, or as closed as they're going to be. You can see there's a tiny, tiny little bit of space here, but not a lot. Right, so I'm just closing those back. So I've got some closed loops. So I know a small jump ring will probably slip through there, but the good news is that we're not using a jump ring on these little loops, so I don't have to worry about it too much. Okay. All right, so that's the body. That's the body of our pendant. Now we're going to wire wrap to it. You can see this one's a little bit more round than this one. Maybe we should open this one up a little bit more. I don't know. They're both, they're similar but different, right? No two are going to be exactly the same. You can try, but they're probably not going to be exactly the same. That's okay. This one has more of like a, I don't know. It's a little bit more curvy. I'll be able to straighten it up a little bit with my pliers. It definitely has a little extra curve to it. That's the fun part about wires, that you can just play around with it until you get it exactly the way you want it. You know, that's part of the reason I love wire so much. Okay, so we're going to wire wrap a chunky piece of quartz here. This has been electroplated, so it has that kind of AB flash to it. And I don't mean electroplated in the sense that it is covered in like metallic, but it does have that thin layer of AB. But any chunky piece of raw whatever you've got is going to look super cool here in the middle of this. And I'm going to use a small piece of 24 gauge wire to wire wrap our piece in between here. So I've got another one here. I think I got this from Michael's. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm kind of a fan of those chunky monkey quartz pieces, but I never know what to do with them. So I was excited to put this together. All right. So I've got a thin piece of 24 gauge wire here. I'm using German style wire, and I'm going to lay that across the component. Okay. Give myself a little bit of a tail here. And that's actually what I'm going to use to wire wrap. So I'm going to wire wrap about 4 times. Albert, stop it. Quick. Hey, stop that. Stop. We have company. All right. So I've wire wrapped about 4 times, and you can see my little end is sticking up back here on the back. I'm just going to squeeze my wraps together with my chain nose pliers and squeeze that down closer to the surface of the component. If it won't lay down, or you have a little bit more of a tail, you can come in and trim off. Okay. But what you do want to do is you want to squeeze that. You want to squeeze those wire wraps up against the component. And you can do that with just your regular pliers, or let's see here. You can use your nylon jaw pliers as well, just to flatten those up against the component. Because again, the component is flat. It's not like we're wrapping around something round like we normally wire wrap things to. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to thread on my bead. Decide what I want the front to be. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to wire wrap on the other side. Now, this is going to be, it's going to be wiggly. If you don't like the wiggly, you can add some beads in between here if you want to. I don't mind the wiggly so much. But that'll bug some people. And I understand. I understand. But I'm going to wire wrap over here on the other side of the component. Okay. And come back here to the back. And again, I'm going to pinch my wire wraps together. I'm going to trim. Okay. And then I'm just going to flatten it, flatten those wire wraps against the surface of the component. Okay. My bead is drilled at kind of a funny angle. So it doesn't, in order for it to hang straight up and down, you see how my wire is like, it's going this way. And it's also, I don't know, it's kind of weird, isn't it? But it's because you can see how it was drilled. Because these chunky pieces like this, you just, you know, they're all different. And they all have their own personality. So whatever the wire needs to do to get that to hang the way you want it to hang in the middle of your pendant, it's all good, right? Okay, so we have that part ready to go. Now I'm extra. I'm always extra. Some people are not going to want to hang anything else from this, but I want to hang some more wonderful things from it. So I have this really cool check glass bead. It's hard to see the colors in this, but it has that same kind of AB flash to it. It's definitely not coming across on camera. And then a little bicone that is like a blue, purple, green. It's that same kind of color, right? So it's just a strange little color. I don't know. And we're going to use some 22 gauge wire to wire wrap this. Let's see. Where's my wire? I was using wire yesterday, so my wire is all over the place. Come on now. What happened to my 22 gauge wire? The most important wire. Oh, it's right here underneath the bowl. Okay. So I'm using some 22 gauge German style wire. You're only going to need a few inches of this. Okay. And I just realized something. I just realized I want to wire wrap my bead to the component here. I should have done that first. So I'm probably going to have to undo the wire wrap. I'll show you what I mean. Okay. So let's start out with our piece of wire. And you know what? I want a larger piece of wire because I'm actually going to do a little bail. Nothing fancy. Nothing too fancy here. All right. I'm going to take my wire. I'm going to thread on my triangle bead. It's drilled across the top. So I have to wire wrap this like a briolet. Okay. And happy birthday, Casey. You're just a baby. All right. I'm going to wire wrap like a briolet. So I'm going to take one side of the wire. I'm going to bend it. I'm bending along the surface, that angle of the bead. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to do the same thing with the other, taking that wire along the surface of the bead at an angle. So what happens is I have the two wires crisscrossing over the top of the triangle, right? That gives me a little, there's a little bit of space between the top of the bead and where the wires crisscross. I'm going to take one of those wires and I'm going to bend it out this direction. And the other wire, the longer wire, I'm going to bend straight up and down. All right. So now I have like an L shape. I'm going to grab that with my bent chain nose pliers just because it is a nice, it keeps the tips out of the way. And I'm going to wire wrap with that wire around this wire about 2 times. Okay. And then I'm going to come in and trim that off. Okay. And now I'm going to thread on our bicone. So that's going to sit right on top of the little wire wraps that we just made. Okay. Now I'm going to do just a little, like a double bail with this. So I'm going to take the wire and I'm coming in with my chain nose pliers. I'm going to bend it over the chain nose pliers so I have room for my wire wraps. But instead of wrapping around my round nose pliers, I'm going to bring back the small bail making pliers. And I'm going to wire wrap around the bail of the pliers twice. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the wire. I'm going to go up and over the top of the pliers. And you know what? Let's use the larger. We'll go up and over. And then I'm going to go ahead and rotate those pliers around just like you would the round nose pliers. Take the wire over, but this time, instead of wrapping, take the wire up and over the pliers a second time. So you actually have to open the pliers up in order to do that, to wrap around twice. Okay. Now bring that wire around and you're going to wire wrap in that space. Okay. So I'm going to wire wrap in the space between the wraps that I just made and the top of our bead. Okay. This is just an extra little fancy. It's not anything super amazing, but if you've ever wondered how to do it, that's how to do it. And I'll show you what you can do with it. So you've got yourself a double loop, which is extra security, but that's not really why I did it. I did it because I wanted to open it up. Right. So I'm going to come in there with my fingers, with my fingernail, or you can use your flat nose pliers. Albert, stop it. Albert. And just split those two open a little bit. It just gives it just like a little, it's just a little fancy. It's not anything major, right? It's not like we did anything super crazy or decorative, but it is just a little different, right? It's a nice way to add a bail to something and still do your wire wrapping. Okay. All right. So I want this on here, right? But it's a wrapped loop. So I'm going to have to undo one of my sides of the wire wrapping, but that's okay because I can rewrap it. So I'm just going to come in with my finger very carefully and undo the wire wraps on one side. Now, I definitely don't recommend doing it this way. You probably want to do this part first before you wire wrap this, but I forgot. I forgot. All right, so very gently unwrap that. Don't do what I'm doing, right? Do this part first. Then I'm going to very gently open one of those loops so that I can thread this on, right? Because I want it to hang down there, and I forgot. And somebody says, who's Albert? One of my dogs. All right. And then close that back. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to wire wrap this back. And if it doesn't look good, if it doesn't look clean, I'll just replace the wire. But I definitely don't recommend doing it in this order. It was just an accident that I forgot. Right. I'll wrap that back around, flatten that out. I forget sometimes we have new people and they have no idea who Albert is. And, you know, everyone just assumes that Albert is a person and he's not, he's a dog. Okay. So wire wrapped that back and we have our pendant hanging from this. Now, again, I realize that's too much for some people, but I love extra. I can't help it. Okay. All right. So now our pendant is done. Basically what's left is just to add the length to this. So we're going to take some faux suede lace. Okay. And you're going to cut as much of this as you want. Mine was cut a little bit short for some reason. I think I even listed it wrong in the materials list. So whatever I listed, you're going to need to double it. I listed it as 10 inches. You need 20 inches. I don't know why I did that. So I'm going to recut here. Definitely feels like Monday to me. Anybody else having that kind of feeling? So just going to fold that in half. And that's what I actually need. Where are my scissors? Okay. So I'm just using some faux suede lace here. It's not real leather. You can use whatever you want to use. And I'm using flat, right? Just a flat lace for this, but you can use whatever you want to. And you don't even have to use, this flat lace. You can use round, you can use chain, you can just bead a whole necklace if you want to. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep this super, super simple. I'm going to take one of my 20-inch pieces and I'm just going to thread it through one of the loops and I'm going to find the center. So I'm just looping it in half, right? Folding it in half. And then I'm going to use a cord end on the ends. So I'm going to bring the two ends together. And I'm using one of these fold over cord ends. I really, really like these because I feel like they have that extra security. So I do think so. Carol says, do you think round braided leather would work? I do. I think it would look beautiful. I think anything would look beautiful. Handmade pendant, it's really kind of up to you, you know, and your personality to use the length, and whatever you've got that you like, you use it. So these fold over on the edges, but it also has this flap on it as well. And that's why I really, really like it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to lay my two ends in, right, into the connector or cord end rather. I'm going to lay that top flap down and then you fold in the other two sides. And I kind of start squishing them with my fingers a little bit just to get them started. Then I come in with my pliers and really flatten down that flap that's on the inside and then flatten down the edges. I just feel like it has that extra security and I don't feel like I need any glue or anything with this kind of finding. Okay. All right. So there's that end. We're going to do the same thing over here on the other side. So we're going to take another 10-inch piece of our leather and you can do 10 inches, 20 inches, however long you want your necklace to be. Just if you're going to do it this way, remember that you're folding it in half. Okay. So you're going to use half of whatever the length is that you cut. Okay. So bringing the two ends together, make sure that I've got everything going in the same direction. So you can get them, Cindy, you can get these cord ends from Beadalon. And I've seen them on Amazon as well. I really, really like them. They're my favorite cord ends. I feel like they're so much easier to use than some of the other ones. And the extra security is nice. So again, just kind of putting my two ends and then I do kind of start to squeeze them in a little bit with my fingers just to get them started. And then I finish off with the pliers. Fold over one end or one edge at a time, or you can do both at the same time. And then you just want to kind of flatten them. Okay. So you've got your ends are secured. The only thing left to do is just add your hardware to this. And then we're going to make some matching earrings real quick. Okay. Because like I said, this is a set. And if you are in need of a last minute gift, I've got you covered the next couple of weeks. And that's what I was thinking. So I'm going to open up a jump ring. I'm just going to thread that on to one of the loops. I'm going to add a clasp, any kind of clasp you want. I'm just using our standard lobster clasp. And I'm going to close that back. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, this time with just a jump ring. Okay. And whoops. That didn't close back like this might be oh, there we go. Okay, so that's my hardware on the back. I didn't do anything super fancy. Now, what I want to tell you about this is that you can see how the cord is just doubled like that. If that drives you crazy and you don't like it being open, you can take some wire, right? And you can wrap around to kind of close that space up a little bit. You can tie a knot here if you want to. It's up to you. Every once in a while, though, I like to leave mine just like it is. I don't know. I feel like that openness of the two strands on either side is kind of cool. It just kind of adds to the design, but it's up to you, right? Some people are not going to like that look. You can alter it however you want to. All right. So the necklace part is done. Okay. We're going to make some earrings really quick to match this. And we're going to use some more of this faux suede lace. Okay, so let me show you what the earrings look like. I've got one that's already done. It's the same triangle bead and a bicone, and then some of that suede lace. We just cut a short piece of it and punch some holes. So we're going to do that real quick. Okay, so we're going to make the mate. So for mine, I've cut, I'll tell you, hold on, I'm going to get the measurement here just a second. Let me just grab what I need to put this together. All right, so for mine, for the suede lace, I've cut, I believe it's just an inch. It might be an inch and a half, but no, maybe 2 inches. I don't know. 2 inches. That's why it's important for me to bring in the ruler. Never listen to the words coming out of my mouth when it comes to measurements. Okay, 2 inches of the suede lace. If you want it bigger, or you want your earrings longer, then obviously you're going to cut a little bit longer. But I need some holes punched in this, and I have a leather punch. I actually have several leather punches. This is just the one that I grabbed. If you don't have a leather punch, that doesn't mean you can't punch a hole in your leather, okay? You can get the same hole through your flat leather or flat suede lace or your faux suede lace with a safety pin or a thumbtack, okay? So don't feel like you got to have this tool. Just don't. You don't need it. You don't need it at all, especially if you're not going to do a whole lot of punching holes. Just use a thumbtack. I feel like the gauge on a thumbtack is the perfect size, and so is a safety pin. Okay. But because I do have the tool, and some of you do, I'm going to use it. So I'm just going to fold the two ends together, right? Make them nice and even. And then I'm just going to put it in my little leather punch here. And I'm just going to punch a little hole through it. All right. Just like that. Easy peasy. Okay. And it punched through both sides and they're even. Okay. All right. So now we're going to wire wrap our little triangle and our bicone. So we're going to need another piece of the 22 gauge wire. Okay, so I'm just going to take that. I'm going to thread my triangle onto it, and we're going to do the same things that we did before. I'm going to treat it like a briolette. So I'm going to bend it so that it is running along the edge of the bead. Other side, I'm going to bend it so that it's running along the edge of the bead. The two wires are crisscrossing over the top of the tip of the triangle. I'm going to come in and I'm going to bend one of those wires straight out and one of them straight up and down. Oh, that was a terrible bend. Let's try that again, shall we? Again, the joy of wire is that you can really make it do what you want it to do. There we go. Okay. Grabbing that, I'm going to wire wrap about 2 times. Okay. And then this one, I want to kind of sharpen that up again because it went a little bubbly on me. Did you see that when my wire wrap wasn't so great? There, I straightened it up a little bit more. All right, so now I'm going to come in with my cutter tool. I'm going to trim off the excess. Okay, if you need to tuck your end, go ahead and just squeeze that in, and then I'm going to thread on the bicone. And now I'm going to do a wire wrapped loop, and I'm just going to do a simple wire wrapped loop. I'm not going to do the little bail. You can if you want to, but since this is the earrings, I'm not feeling too super fancy. So I'm just going to take my chain nose pliers, bend the wire over the top of the chain nose pliers. Okay. I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers. Take the wire up and over the top barrel of the pliers. And then I'm going to rotate so that I can take the wire over to the other side. Uh-oh, Bridget says nobody sees her comments. Bridget, did you have a question? Everything goes by really, really fast. what are the cord ends called? That's what her question was. Fold over cord ends. Is that the name? You know, I'm not sure what the exact name is. I'm pretty sure that it is just fold over cord ends though. I know that if you type that in, they will come up. There are a couple of different styles of fold over cord ends, but one of them will be the ones that we do love you, Bridget. One of them will be these that come up that I used. All right, so there's my wrapped loop. Okay, it's ready to go. I'm just going to thread my faux suede, or I'm going to thread it onto rather my faux suede lace. Okay, and then I'm just going to bring that up here to bring the two ends together. And all I'm going to do is just take a jump ring to go through those. Stacia says she wishes Facebook had a ding bell. That would be so funny. But could you imagine, like, sometimes the comments get going really fast. All of the dinging that would happen, that would be too funny. All right, so I'm just going to thread a 6mm jump ring through those holes that I punched. Okay. And then before I close that, I'm just going to thread on an ear wire. And these are done. I love these earrings because they're super lightweight. They can be adjusted if it's too long or you want them longer. You can just adjust them by adjusting the amount of the cord that you cut. But they're so fun and so different. If you're looking for some inspiration for some different earrings, if you feel like you are, if you're making the same earrings over and over again, grab some cord. There are so many really cool cord designs that you can make into earrings, you know, and these are super fun and they match the necklace, which is really cool. So if you've got somebody that you need to give a gift to, or if you just want a new set of jewelry for yourself, this is a fun one that's pretty easy to do. And because we've done all that hammer work, right? I had that face in the wrong direction. You've done all the hammer work. You can take out some of your aggression too as well, right? Okay, so here's a couple more questions in here. Fessa says, what race is Albert? Albert is a German name. Albert is actually a golden retriever. I do have a German dog though. Cooper's in here as well, and he is a German shepherd. Let's see. Some want to know if a metal punch will work on the leather. That I'm not entirely sure about. I think that it will, but you got to be careful because you want to use a very, very tiny, tiny metal punch. Peggy, I see you. I see your question with your Zach Bagans prompt there. Let's see. I just want to see if there's another. What do you mean for making jump rings in general? Alicia, what was your question? Oh, I think she was talking to Kim. What gauge wire is strong enough for the jump rings? So I don't make my own jump rings, but if I did, I would use 18 gauge wire, though a lot of the jump rings that you buy pre-made are 21 gauge, and 21 gauge is just kind of a strange gauge. You can buy 21 gauge wire, 20 gauge, 18 gauge. Those are the two strongest, but I usually just buy pre-made. Let's see. Me too, Robin. I was thinking about that this morning, how I'm so glad I got to keep them. Rosanna says the vintage metal punch will work on leather. Awesome. I was about to say cool, but it just wasn't coming out of my mouth. All right, I'm going to turn you guys around. Okay. I'm going to turn you around because we're going to look at this set from a different point of view, right? Perspective is everything. That's what my dear friend Kathy tells me. Perspective is everything. And she's not wrong. Okay, so I'm going to put the necklace onto a bust. Yeah, he's a German Shepherd dog. Albert's not. Albert is a golden retriever, but Cooper is a German Shepherd dog. He's black. He's West and East German because he has the markings of both. His mom was a black German Shepherd and his dad was a regular, not regular, but like the brown. It's kind of, I don't know what you would call it. All right, so here's our necklace, right? Here is the way our necklace ends up looking. Now, again, you can change this up however you want to suit yourself, right? You could do chain here, you could do ribbon there, you could do whatever you wanted to. And the pendant, of course, if you want to leave that part out, it's still super cool, even without the extra dangle. I'm just extra, so I add dangles to just about everything. And then you can see the earrings that match. It's just a really fun little set, right? If you've got a friend or you've got a family member or somebody you need to give a gift to that doesn't like heavy jewelry, this is the way to go, because all of this is super lightweight. The necklace is a very, very lightweight, and the earrings are very lightweight as well. I'll put them on so you can see what they look like. Wendy says on Amazon, fold over flat end crimps is what you would look up. That's perfect. Thank you for sharing that. So there are the earrings. Aren't they cool? They're just super, super fun. That's okay. That's okay. Donna says, sorry, didn't realize Sara deals with questions at the end. This was her first time viewing. Well, first of all, Donna, we're so glad you're here, right? And we hope you come back for more. I try to answer questions as I go along if I see them, but sometimes I miss them because, you know, my eyes are down on the bead map. So I try to get to as many questions as I can. I don't always see them all. So if I did miss your questions, I'm so sorry. I'm not being rude. I try, you guys. Let's see. I do want to roll back. Silver and tan. Yeah. Let's see. Did I miss anything? If I miss anything, guys, my team will let me know too. And I try. But yeah, okay. So enough about me and about the questions. Just a super cool set. I hope that I have inspired you today. If you are looking to make some quick things at the last minute, not only is this easy to put together and takes out your aggression because you get to use your hammer, but it doesn't use a lot of beads, right? And I think that that's really cool too. If you can, you know, find a way to use your 1s and 2s of beads. For instance, this guy, if you just have like one really cool bead that you don't really know what to do with, stick it in the middle of a handmade pendant and you're good to go. And it is so personalized, whether it's for you to give a gift, or if you are building your website or your booth, or if you're going to start your own jewelry business in the new year, right? Catherine says, sorry, what gauge wire did you use for the component? So I used 12 gauge wire for the component. I used a really thick artistic wire, the 12 gauge. It's heavy duty. I don't recommend using anything thinner than 14 gauge if you're going to flatten it, right? Because this was round wire that we flattened. And again, just a reminder that the flatter you make it, the thinner the gauge becomes, it work hardens and it becomes brittle. So you need to take all of those things into consideration before you want to do this with something like 18 gauge wire. I just don't think it's going to be strong enough. Nicole's posted the materials list for us, just in case you need it. I appreciate it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you have enjoyed today's project and that I have inspired you. We've got one last question here. It says, Wendy says, where's the best place to buy the 12 gauge wire? Beadalon.com is where I get all of the wire that I use. And I've got an affiliate link as well. I think Nicole posted it earlier. You can scroll back up through the comments if you want to use it. You don't have to use it. I get a small commission every time you use my Beadalon affiliate link, but you don't have to. You totally don't have to. But that's where I get my wire. See you tonight. Yes, you guys will see me tonight. The Hardwired group, guys, the doors are shut. The doors are shut on the Hardwired group. If you missed out this month, just wait till the end of the month when we have open enrollment again. Our Hardwired group will be meeting today at 4:30 Eastern. Just a little teaser for those of you who maybe didn't get to join but want to know what it is that we do. We're making a pendant. I'm teaching a new wire weave that we haven't done yet. So I know it's kind of hard to see here, but I'm teaching a new wire weave. We're putting together a really cool pendant. That's at 4:30 Eastern today for our Hardwired group. In the meantime, I love you guys and have a wonderful afternoon. The rest of you, I will see you on Friday for our Feel Good Friday show, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Set your reminders. Don't miss it. I've got new fun projects for you guys. Okay. Have a great afternoon. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.